Hey guys, I'm Orlando and welcome to Conversations with Neoseven. On this show, I will be chatting with professionals from different industries and getting their advice and expertise on a range of different topics, from health and well-being, environmental sustainability, diversity in media, food and lifestyle, and much more. Hi everyone, I'm Orlando and welcome to Conversations with Neoseven. Have you experienced problems finding clothes that fit the way you want? The world of fashion and design is portrayed as glitz and glamour, but the reality is most people have problems finding the perfect fit. In my conversation today with fashion designer, fit technologist, author, and lecturer, we will be discussing these issues. Tanya, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Orlando. It was wonderful to be invited.
Excellent. Can you tell me a bit about what you do?
Well, as you just said, I'm a few hats: fashion design, lecturer, fit technologist, author as well. I got into fashion when I was a child. I used to watch my mum make me clothes when I was 5. It's one of my first memories. And I couldn't believe you could turn this piece of fabric into a garment. So I went from hobby, passion to career, and educating too.
Oh, amazing. And how did you find your niche while doing this? Because fashion is such a vast field.
After university, I was lucky enough to go to Central St Martin's in London, which is one of the best universities. I was offered a job in Hong Kong after a couple of years working in the UK, and it opened me up to the world of high design. So all of the big designer labels that would produce their garments in Hong Kong, and I had a really good job as a senior designer designing ranges for the company, which we then sold off and worked with the buyers in all of the different labels to work with us to produce their collections. So it was quite eye-opening and an amazing experience.
Amazing. So what particularly was your role there, and how did you help to streamline things within the fashion and design world there?
So my role as a senior designer, I had to design a 50 outfit collection every 6 months, and maybe a little bit like what you see me wearing. I love very feminine, girly things, and so used to design a lot with embroideries and beadwork. And because it was quite cheap to make that in Asia, a lot of the buyers would come to us looking for that kind of thing. So I would design garments with embroideries, but also different embroidery and beadwork designs, and found that the buyers really appreciated what I did. And so after maybe 3.5 years in Hong Kong, I set up my own label doing exactly that, very feminine, girly. And so that would be my niche from your question.
Oh,
doing
brilliant.
Very sort of girly things, very feminine.
Yeah. You set up your own fashion label, which I'm assuming is not an easy task. What are some of the challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, I don't know as I did overcome them. I tried. To set up a new label for a new designer, it's quite difficult because obviously money is an issue when you first start any business, and you want to have these sort of 10 hats on. You want to be the creative designer, but you've got to be the seller as well, trying to entice buyers in. You need to be doing trade shows to promote yourself, and you need to be working with the factories. And don't forget the accountant who tries to help you balance your books at the end of the year. And so that's the hugest challenge. It's money, time. You want to be the creative, but you've got the paperwork to do. So it's trying to balance all of that, which was not an easy task.
And did you have support while doing that, or did you do this all on your own?
I was the only employee of my company, but I worked with a lot of freelancers. So working with freelancers helps, because then you can delegate to them what you want to be done, with keeping the control yourself, and obviously keeping the cost down. So you're paying the freelancer when you need something done and not paying a full-time employee. And so that was the way it worked for me.
Gotcha. So if there are any people out there that are trying to start their own label now, is that the advice that you would give them, or is there anything that you would advise differently from your experience?
I would say definitely work with freelancers, because there's a lot around, especially in today's day and age of the global pandemic. A lot more people are working from home, so you do have the flexibility of that in finding people that are right for you. And I'd probably have a business partner, because I probably drove my parents crazy, my friends crazy, talking business all the time. Whereas if you've got a business partner, you've got that person to lean on. And especially if your skill set is slightly different, maybe one is better at marketing and the other is good at design, then you can complement each other to get through the challenges of the business.
Yeah, it makes sense. In designing your clothes, I suppose you mentioned that, it's quite feminine. How did you want people to feel when wearing your clothes or the clothes that you designed?
I think at the time when I had my label, it was very much stereotyped that these clothes are for an 18-year-old, these clothes are age 25, these are 60-year-old clothes. So I was trying to design something that was just very feminine and pretty, that a woman could feel beautiful in, and it didn't matter how old she was. I used to do a technique called bias cutting, which is cutting a garment in a different way on the fabric side, that a garment can fit you if you're slightly bigger, slightly smaller, and if your body shape is maybe your bust is bigger or your waist is thicker, the fabric tends to flow down your body. So it suited a lot of different women's figure shapes, and that's where we're not all the same. So what I was doing suited many more people because of that. And it was just to feel beautiful wearing something nice. Yeah.
Oh, great. Now, that's quite interesting. Again, that was, how many years ago was that when you started? When you
Oh,
had your
no,
label?
you're making me feel old now. I've been in the industry 23 years in total.
23
So,
years.
yeah,
Yeah,
quite
so
a while ago,
quite,
14
quite a
years.
while. Oh,
Mm.
just like yesterday. Don't worry about it. So how has fashion changed from then to now? Because you're talking about cutting the patterns in a certain way that fits your bodies better or more
Yeah.
streamlined. So how has it changed?
Oh, I'm sad for my industry, to be honest.
Mm,
I would say when I ran my label, there was a lot of what we call boutique stores around the world. So small independent shops that would stock new designers, different designers like me. We weren't the cheapest, but we weren't the Prada Gucci level either. We were that sort of in between. And a woman that wanted something special and a bit different would go to these boutique stores on the high streets. Unfortunately, the rise of the budget retailers like Primark, Matalan, H&M, it made things so cheap, it pushed out that boutique store to a certain degree, and they struggled. They struggled in the high street with these huge corporations that were producing 1 million units, 100,000 units. And the price difference was so vast. And unfortunately, consumers are price driven. So a lot of people prefer to buy cheap than to buy quality. So a lot of these boutique stores unfortunately closed down. Labels like mine suffered because we didn't have the outlet of where we could be selling. And so I was very much about something beautiful for one size fits all and it's made to last. My choice fabric was silk, so it was a natural fiber that is good for the
mm.
environment as well. And so all of that, it's almost like the consumer lost touch to that and they just looked at price. And so, yeah, unfortunately, the industry's gone quite cheap.
Do you think that's particularly a result of how clothes fit?
Oh my God. Yes. Man after my own heart saying that. That is one of the biggest issues, I would say. The last statistic I saw online was a Mintel statistic that said 60% of goods are returned because they don't fit. Many women, and I would say men even could be in the same category as well, they buy two things. So a small, medium, or a medium plus a large, because they don't know what size they are. And if clothes don't fit you right, why do you want to spend money on something that doesn't fit you right? And you accept it as, well, this is good enough. Well, why is it good enough? It shouldn't be good enough, you know.
Agreed. Yeah,
Women have
definitely.
existed since the outset of the earth. So why are we not having clothes made to fit our body shapes? It's a fundamental problem in the fashion industry that I see is actually getting worse and not better.
Great. Well, not great actually, but so how,
Yeah.
with your vast experience, how do you think we can solve or aim to solve these issues that we're facing?
Well, I will chip in with something a little bit different now for myself. I started a PhD road, a doctorate road, maybe just nearly 5.5 years ago now. And the purpose of a doctorate is to investigate something that's never been done before. So you do a vast amount of research. It's about 100,000 words and a lot of research where you have to back up and investigate absolutely everything. So
Yeah.
here is the statistic. The first ever global survey done to find out what shape women's bodies were was in the 1950s.
Wow.
And in the 1950s, there were 3 categories of body shapes. So you have what's classified as the regular body shape. So your bust is not too big, your waist is not too small, and your bottom's proportionate. And then a third of the women had a bigger bust, and a third of the women, either they had a smaller bust or a bigger bottom. Unfortunately, the British Fashion Council decided that the 1/3 that were regular body shape was sufficient to produce clothing for the whole population. So it's never been good.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and this is from the outset, and nobody's ever changed it. There are international standards, there's country standards. So there is these big bodies that deal with it from a global perspective, and then each country has their own body. But they don't have the power to enforce change.
Yeah.
So the retailers size as they wish, and nobody can change it. And that's my research. So I'm very passionate about the fit of clothing, because I can't believe in the 1950s it was acceptable that only 30% of women fitted in the size, and they thought that was acceptable then.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm assuming this is not only for women. Obviously, there's lots of different proportions.
We're more curvy.
More curvy. but for myself, I go into certain stores now, and in some stores I'm a medium, and in others I'm a large, and it deters me from actually buying stuff online. And as you said, your statistic is 63% are returned. So this obviously is affecting retailers as well. So my question is, so will your research, I mean, obviously you probably can't say too much now. Do you think that the results of your research will help make significant changes in the industry that will benefit retailers and the general public, the consumers?
Orlando, with your help, you are marketing. So yes, the answer is I found a solution. My research is a solution. And yeah, you're correct to say I can't say too much now, otherwise it will impede on my doctorate completion. I have worked out a solution from pattern cutting. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been learning from a child. I loved fashion. I started actually sewing when I was 12. And much to my mum's disappointment, I would cut up my old clothes to make something new and to inspect how it was made. So it's always been my passion to look at how things are made. So with my PhD research, I have found a solution in making clothes for figure shapes. So not just the regular figure, but looking across the board at different figure shapes. Also to stereotype from different countries, you could say Latino has a bigger bottom and Asian is straighter. Stereotyping doesn't always work. It doesn't mean everybody, but it does sometimes mean a high proportion of people. So I am developing a system that will have the solution. But any good product, any good design is nothing if it's not reaching the market. So that's where in the future, people like yourself, marketing agencies, I will be working with to try to commercialize my research and set it up into a viable business that could have a big impact globally on the way clothes are made.
Oh,
and as for
I
men,
look forward to that.
Once I sort women out, I'll sort the men out.
Yeah, that was my next question. So obviously, women, as you said, are more curvy, but why the focus on women and not men? So I suppose it's a starting point.
Because of that, we have more problems. So you have problems, yes, and I don't dispute that. But our problems are bigger than yours because we're more three-dimensional. So we have more curves in different places than you, and you can go and do a small to a medium in the changing room and decide what one fits you better. For us, sometimes neither of those fit our body shape right, because maybe the girl has got a bigger bust or a bigger bottom than the shop is selling for. So it becomes quite problematic for us to sometimes even find anything that fits. I wrote an academic paper back in 2015, Stretch to Fit or Made to Fit. So it was analysing the growth of like T-shirts and stretchy fabrics and the amount of people that are having to wear something that stretches because they can't find something that fits. And really, is that acceptable in this day and age? It shouldn't be, you
It
know,
shouldn't
with
be,
the
definitely not.
technology we have and the computer technology for making clothes. We shouldn't need fabric to do the work for a pattern.
What advice can you give women who are struggling to find clothes that fit? Is there
I'm going
anything
to
at
show
all?
you. I'm going to show you a tape measure. So what women need to do, and ironically in the last few days I've just been doing this for my PhD research, so I'll go a little bit deeper for the answer for you. So most retailers have a sizing chart on their website. So if you look up Marks and Spencer's size chart, Zara's size chart, on their website they have a measurement guide. So if you know what your measurements are, you can look at their guide and then work out what size you are. And that should help you to a certain extent over what size you should be buying, whether it's the medium or the large. But it won't help 100% because it depends how that shop has sized their clothes. So some shops size clothes where the bottom is bigger, so they believe their customer is more curvy on the bottom. Another shop will have a thicker waistline. So once you know your three key measurements, your bust, your waist, your hip, you can look at different retailers to work out what size you are there and then know what size you need to go and buy. However, here's the catch.
Okay.
Don't take it for granted. So in 2015, when I was starting my research road, I analysed 47 different retailers' sizing. Out of those 47, there was up to 10 centimetres different for something that was labelled the same size. So a size small could have been 80 centimetres in one shop, but a size small in another shop was 90. It's actually got worse because now, 2020, 5 years later, I've cross-analysed by going back onto their websites and updating my list. Everybody has done what's called vanity sizing. So that size 10 that was 80 centimetres is now actually 85 or maybe 83, but it's still called the size 10,
It's a
which
big change.
basically means women are putting on a little bit of weight, but they don't want to buy a bigger size. So to accommodate that, the retailers have done vanity sizing. They've increased the measurements. To my knowledge, no announcement to say, oh, please note public, we're increasing our measurements.
Yeah.
No. And so everybody can have that illusion that they're still a size 10 when actually they're probably more like a 12 now.
This will affect them as well, wouldn't it? Because obviously making these changes with no announcements, then that adds to the statistic of the number of returns they have.
There you go. Yes, correct.
So they obviously have not thought this through properly.
I think they're grasping at straws. I mean, there's, like I say, doing this PhD, I read a lot of academic work. So there's a lot of research going on globally into the sizing of clothing and the possible solutions. So one of the biggest solutions that's come out recently is virtual technology. So FitsMe is one of the ones, SizeStream is another. What are these? They're a mobile application where you can photograph yourself wearing something fitted, and then the mobile app will tell you where to buy your clothes. However, they can only push you to retailers that have already produced clothes. So it's only going into what has already been made in the size that they've already made it. And these apps, a lot of the time, have backing from the retailers to promote their store. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. It's seen as a solution. I'm a cynic. I don't see that as a solution.
No,
I see the solution is the way the clothes are being made and the fact they don't accommodate bigger shapes.
Okay. Now, with your vast experience of, designing from a young age and making your own clothes, which you're obviously wearing now, do you think that's a skill that should be taught more to people? And if so, why?
Well, I can say with pride I have 25,000 online learners at the moment learning from
Wow.
me how to make clothes. So while I was working in Hong Kong, I went from industry into education. So working as a teacher in Hong Kong, I developed 2 online courses that I'm still running at the moment. One's for how to make skirts, which is for women, men included, welcome, and how to make
Thank you.
trousers, which shows for men and for women. Um, we are 2020. We've had a global pandemic. A lot of people have been furloughed. A lot of people have gone to work from home. And you've got a lot of people looking for hobbies, and they're looking online at things to do. And fashion and making clothes is one of those things, because we're not going out so much anymore. So you want something suitable. You don't need to be spending so much money in the shops anymore because you're spending more time at home, but
Mm.
you want something to do, you want something to fit you right. So I have the amazing global students that are always posting in my forums from different areas of the world and different reasons to do it. The number one reason people are on my course is because they can't find clothes to fit themselves right. And so,
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
it's definitely something I strongly encourage.
Oh,
Absolutely. I'm there to help, it's
oh, great. I might take that up as well because
you're most welcome to join my course.
I'm struggling. But do you have to be creative? Because obviously it's designing is one thing, but do you have to have a creative eye, or do you just have to be a bit adventurous, in
No.
your opinion?
First of all, you need to be relatively good at math. I was good at math at school, and
Mm.
math is behind making clothes because it's all about your measurements, and it's an arrangement of lines on the page. So where you put the lines, and it ends up creating something that can resemble a skirt. So you may not be a designer, but if you ever bought a pair of trousers, I know you have 2 children, so
Yes.
you have things you need to carry for them. So your wife takes the bag, she's got most of the things in the bag, but don't you need an extra pocket to put something, maybe some tissues, some wet wipes, some this, some that. So you may not be so creative, but then when you suddenly start to think about it, perfect example, my brother is a chef, and once a while back he asked me, can you make me some trousers? And I'm like, great, what pockets do you want? Oh, well, I want a pocket for this knife, I want a pocket, I want a loop for my dishcloth, I want this for this and this for this. So he expressed what he wanted, even though he didn't realize it, he was being a designer. It's just
Yeah.
by thinking
Yeah.
about what we do and how we do it, that extra pocket here, or something's a bit long, a bit short, a bit this, a bit that.
Yeah.
We've
I
all got it
suppose
in
it's.
us.
I suppose you know your body better than anyone else, so you should be able to to maneuver that or to work that
Yeah.
to create something that's best fit for yourself.
Well, there you go. Why did you buy that shirt you're wearing? That's called a gingham shirt, and a gingham shirt has a certain check to it, from very tiny to very big. You
Yes.
you chose that one. Why that one? Why not one that was bigger, smaller, different collar? It's
Yeah. Well, I chose it because of the fit, to be honest. Well,
yeah, yeah,
first and foremost, I chose it because I like the patterns,
yeah,
the small checks, and I chose it because of the fit. I was able to try it on. My
yeah,
shoulders are quite broad, so
mm,
all shirts don't actually fit me the way I wanted to.
yeah. So
So
your fit was number one, which is, yeah, it's the right way forward. But unfortunately, it limits you, because then you find what fits you in one place, it's not necessarily the same somewhere else.
exactly, because the
Mm.
problems I have as I get a bit older, um, my lower region, so my waist is not what it used to be. So it fits really nice up top, but when I start
Mm.
the button at the bottom, it gets a bit tight. So
Yeah,
yeah, so the
but
major
there's
issue
not a
for me.
solution for that other than running on the spot for breakfast and doing a few star jumps.
Yeah, yeah. There's one thing that you mentioned earlier when in your journey you went to Hong Kong. I'm take a
Mm.
big step back there, and Hong Kong really struck a chord with me because when there were riots and lots of big unrest happening there, were you affected by that on your
It
work?
was
Was that
my
affected?
university, Orlando. It was
Oh my God.
horrific. And I live next to my university. So, yeah, unfortunately, Hong Kong has gone through quite a turbulent period since July. last year is when the riots started. So without getting too political on it, which is different opinions on it, you had a lot of young people wanting to sort of voice their concern over the way government were handling things. And unfortunately, it got to the point where my university was taken under siege and set on fire. So from one minute we're in the classroom and the next minute there's police barricades all around the university, there's press everywhere, there's thousands of people everywhere. Where I used to live, there were two bridges going over a very big main road. The main road leading to the tunnel crossing over to Hong Kong Island. The tunnel was set on fire. The bridges were set on fire. So I couldn't access one side of Hong Kong unless I went a very long way backwards to then walk along the harbour. So it was scary times, very scary times. I don't live in Hong Kong now. I've moved back to Europe only recently to complete my doctorate. So my doctorate being my passion now that I want to finish and commercialise.
I'm not a fashionista, put it that way. But from what I've read and understand, so London, Milan, Paris, New York, these are the fashion capitals of the world. So with your experience and what you're doing with your doctorate, would you see yourself working in the industry in one of these different countries?
I will answer you in a slightly different way. I chose to go to Asia because that's where the production is done, and that's where I love making clothes and fabric and sewing. It's my passion, but it's also my meditation. I do it when I'm feeling a bit stressed out. I will go on the sewing machine and make something, and that's where you buy it all from. So they have the most amazing markets and shops selling the most it's just amazing stuff. Whereas in Europe, it's where it's all sent to, so it's more expensive. So the four big cities are classified as being the sort of the be all and end all. But actually, you do see a lot of fashion in other cities in different ways. It was eye-opening. Why Asia? I don't know. It just kind of fell. It fell into my lap, and that's what worked for me.
Great, thank you. So it's not you're led by your passion and not by where the money is, but which is not what the fashion industry is actually known for, is it?
Absolutely. My passion is creation. It's making clothes and teaching how to make clothes. And the other on my bio is my author. So I've published books as well. So it was publishing the books, and teaching came first. Then it was publishing how I taught, and now it's teaching online how I teach, trying to help more people, because what I teach is how to make clothes to fit you. I don't teach a standard size. I've always taught made to measure. So it's all about you as a person, your body shape, your size. And like earlier our conversation, you were saying about I'm not a designer, but actually everyone is. And when you push someone, it's like, okay, come on, let's make something. What do you like? What pocket shape? What this? Everyone starts thinking more about that. And then we become a little bit more unique and a little bit more different, and less clones of an industry that is all these big fashion corporations that are now global. What do you want the whole world to look the same? All be wearing a shirt from a certain shop and a pair of jeans from another certain shop all over the world. Where's their uniqueness gone? We are all unique, and that's what I want to be doing, in pushing that forward into helping people wear something that fits them right, that they feel good in it because it fits them right.
Brilliant. And my assumption is that your online courses are available to everyone. It's a global sort of
free.
Yeah,
it's free.
Free.
They're free globally on edx.org. You can just net surf my name. To be honest, I've done a few things. It can come up. And so, they're free. Or if you want to get a certificate of learning and then have your assessments graded and potentially talk to me online, you can pay a small fee for that. And then you get the certificate that goes on your CV as well.
Oh, great. You're doing some amazing things, Tanya.
I'm trying. I'm one little cog in a big network, though, aren't I? So hopefully we can work together more in the future on the marketing side, and having people that believe in me and believe in what I do and the changes that I want to see happen in the industry is the way forward. It really is.
Thanks for all the advice you've given today. But for all those, up and coming designers, what advice would you give them?
First of all, it's the classic know your consumer. So it's not just saying, I want to design for 18 to 21-year-olds. Who are they? What do they do? Where do they go? What do they wear? And the more you know someone, the more you can service them in making the clothes that fit them right. Secondly, it would be to have something that's quite unique. So don't just be another label, because you'll never compete with the ones that are already existing. So what I used to do in the embroideries and the beadwork, a lot on now is on sustainability. So how to make your label sustainable, using the right fabrics, ethically sourced, getting it produced right. So there's so much in that area that can be done. Recycling, upcycling, different things as well. Helping the environment. I'm totally in love with David Attenborough. So helping the environment in not overproducing more for landfill. No, there's enough in the landfill. There's enough in your cupboard. So let's look at ways that we can build a future that is more sustainable, in a way that new labels can evolve from that, but in an ethical way, in a sustainable way.
Thank you.
And a business partner.
and the business. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of your PhD. Is there anything else we can look forward to from Tanya Dove?
No, more online courses. I'm hoping to build more online courses as well. At the moment, it's just skirts and trousers. So I'm doing at the moment how to make tops and dresses, and trying to spread my knowledge around as much as I can for people that are interested to learn.
This is great news that you can actually join one of Tanya's many courses online for free, right? So express your creativity. And if you're like me and you consider yourself not a designer, you could probably find it in you by going through one of her courses. Thanks again, Tanya. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I look forward to speaking with you in 2021 after the launch of
Yay! I will be back. I will be back. Maybe this time in a year, I will be able to expand on my business proposal.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Orlando.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.